Hello and welcome to Lifestyle by Design, helping you solve everyday challenges. I'm Andrea Kelso and this is my co-host, Karen Jacobs.
Hi, I'm Karen Jacobs. I'm a professor at Boston University, a Brookline Rotarian, and also an occupational therapist. Today, we have on our show a guest who I've known for a long time, Joan. And Joan, maybe you could just tell us about yourself, and then we'll start talking about staying healthy.
Right. First of all, I want to say, when you say a long time, you saw me when I was 12, so, you know.
Oh, no, you were younger than that. You were 12 and I was 8.
Right. There you go. There you go. So it's a long time
right.
ago. All right. So I am a nutrition professor here at Boston University with you, my fabulous colleague, and I teach nutrition courses to both graduate students and undergraduate students. And I have been lucky enough, fortunate enough, blessed enough to be able to write the textbooks, nutrition textbooks that are used in the classes for the undergraduates and are used for the classes for the majors and higher up at many universities across the United States. So it gave me such great pleasure to be able to write about a topic that I adore and love, and to be able to take the science of nutrition and really translate that into easy, understandable information, but more importantly, allow the student to take that information and apply it to their life. And this was like a dream come true, because typically textbooks are all about facts. And this goes one step further to take the facts and allows you to personalize it to make healthy changes in your life. So it's a really, really fabulous project that I've been working on and is out there. And it's changing people's lives, which I think is what it's all about.
It is. And, you know, I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because you have taken a very complex topic, which all of us, I think, are interested in,
right,
but you've made it so that it's understandable. We see it all over campus at Boston University, you know, your influence on the students. And you're doing so much with teaching, not just here, but around the world,
right,
really.
Right.
And you're on so many different television shows, radio shows, all of that. How did that start? And
right,
then let's besides, you know, your textbook, was that a spin-off of your textbook?
right.
Or I think you were doing some of that before even.
Right. How the textbook came about is that here at Boston University, I teach a very large nutrition class, but for non-majors. So these are people just like you. Maybe you didn't in the field, but you want to learn about it. Mm-hmm. And these students would come on campus at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, God.
In the dead of winter.
So they love this class.
Right,
they love this class.
So it became one of these things like, wow, there is so much interest. I mean, to get teenagers at 8 a.m. In the snow to come to class. So I knew that there was so much interest in it that a publishing house, Pearson, which is a major large publisher of textbooks, approached me and said, would you like to write a book? And what's your magic to get kids out of bed in winter at 8 a.m. with snow boots on? So that's when I said, well, what I do is take the science and translate it to everyday lives, and they were all for it and has been terrific about that. But really, that has been the goal from the get-go, is no matter who my audience is, whether it's on television or I blog for the Boston Globes, right, Boston.com, I've written on magazines, is to take nutrition, take the science. People are nervous with the word science. Mm-hmm. And take that science and make it digestible, mm-hmm, so that they can really, truly understand it, but really apply it. And I think that's really what I love to do. And I do that on Boston.com. And science, nutrition is a moving target. I mean, there's so much research coming out about it all the time, right, that you continually have to be on top of it. And more importantly, the public is confused about it. Yeah. You know, they hear one thing one day, and then they hear another thing, and they're like, oh, I don't know what to do. So if you can make it like, look, this is a study, but one study really is no study until we have a consensus, and here's what you may want to do and take with that information. And I think that helps people make those lifestyle changes that are going to help them in the long term to prevent heart disease, certain cancers, stroke, and type 2 diabetes, which are 4 of the top 10 killers of Americans. Right. So really, you are what you eat. Really, you are what you eat.
Mm-hmm. So you touched on something that I was going to ask about, which is when you hear something new, and it kind of, I don't know, makes you nervous or whatever, right, or makes you rethink your food. What's your rule of thumb for actually approaching, you know, assessing its validity and if you should sort of follow those guidelines? Right.
Well, lucky, because I have a training in science, I would read the study and then make an assessment of whether this is, you know, anything we need to act upon. But rule of thumb for the public, you never act upon one study. One study is no study. I mean, one study is a little morsel of sand on the beach of research. And so you would never say, oh, the sand is the whole beach. It isn't the whole beach. So it's a little fact. And then as more and more research comes in, and then a consensus gets, developed, saying, there's enough research to suggest that we need to get more fiber in our diet because we know that fiber can help, prevent certain type of diseases. Then a consensus statement is made. Then they say, okay, Americans, adults, try to get 20 to 35 grams of fiber a day because based on science, that's going to help you. And that's what has to come, is when you get the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, the American Heart Association, the American Medical Association, to come together and say, look, there's enough evidence to say the saturated fat's got to come down the diet, the fiber's got to go up. Let's help the public achieve it.
Right, and you're doing that. You're taking that very complex evidence and you're helping not just the general public, but students on campus enormously. So let's help everybody now.
Okay.
How are we going to deal with holidays?
Yeah, right.
Holidays, and it doesn't matter what holiday it is. Hanukkah, Christmas, Passover,
Right.
Thanksgiving. We can name tons of holidays,
Right.
and maybe just even joyous occasions like birthdays and anniversaries.
Right.
How do we manage?
That's right. It really started at Halloween with that first candy corn. And,
Oh my
it
God!
really
I'm
did.
glad
It
I
did.
didn't buy them.
Right.
I bought the
and
chocolate
just so you
instead.
know, candy corn is not corn; it's not a vegetable, so don't go there.
Oh,
Okay, all right.
God!
And and if we're lucky,
I'm so glad you told
I
me
know.
that.
Oh, my goodness. So now, we're starting with Halloween, and if the stars all align, we could go to Super Bowl Sunday.
Oh,
if
my
the
gosh.
stars all align, when you think about it,
I
right?
don't think our Pat. Well, maybe they'll make it.
Maybe, right.
We'll keep our fingers
Right,
crossed.
right. And that opens up like that. And now we're talking February. So now we're
Yeah.
talking from October to February, where you really have this concentrated amount of holidays and such. So I brought along my plate.
Yeah.
I have service for 12 of this. Okay?
I like this. I would love to borrow this.
Wouldn't that be a hoot? If you had service at 12 and everybody came over and this
This
was
would
the
be
plate that you used.
Great.
Yeah.
Wait,
That
we
was
can
great.
start. We
Yeah.
can get this on crowdsourcing. It could be something really, good.
And fine china. But I brought this plate. I give you a visual, give the public a visual. It's not my plate. It's my plate by the .gov, and you can find that this image as well. Fabulous resources from the USDA. But this is really, if you start thinking about setting up your plate from here on in with this kind of a structure, it's very kind to your waist. Because half of the plate is fruits and vegetables. And fruits and vegetables, they're going to be full of fiber and water, so they're going to fill you up before they fill you out. So that's great. And then only about a quarter is grains, but you want it to be whole grains. And then you'll see, not much protein. I mean, enough to get the job done, but we don't want to have a lot because it'll crowd out the fruits and vegetables in your diet. And we want to keep that saturated fat down. And you'll see a little place for dairy because 3 servings of lean dairy a day, skim milk, non-fat yogurt, non-fat Greek yogurt, reduced fat cheese, good for calcium and can be for vitamin D. So if you have a plate that looks like this, that will help you right away to help control calories.
Sure.
So because the fruits and vegetables are very slimming and we want to have more of them in your holiday season. All year round, actually.
Oh, yeah. So, cranberries.
Oh, yes.
Talk about cranberries because we just said fruits and vegetables.
They're the holiday
right.
staple.
That's right.
I love them.
Thank you for reading my column.
Right.
So this was the column I just did on Boston.com about they are the new superstars on the Thanksgiving table. And, they are full of rich in vitamins. They're great, really high in fiber. And they're very low in sugar. They're very low in sugar. Now, unfortunately, because they're very low in sugar, when you pop a handful in your mouth, you go, they're a little on the tart side. So unfortunately, if you really were going to have cranberry products, a lot of added sugar added to it. So what I tried to say is that they're good, possibly good for your heart, they're good for your teeth because they can help with reduce plaque buildup. But let's watch the amount of sugar. And one of the ways to sweeten cranberries, because they are so tart, is to pair them with other sweetened foods. So in other words, if I gave some recipes on Boston.com on nutrition in your blog. So if you're going to make an apple crisp, throw in some cranberries because the apple sweetness will allow you to make the cranberries more sweet naturally.
Oh, nice.
Right. I gave them a recipe for a cranberry sauce that uses orange juice and just a little bit of sugar. So in other words, you start to use them, but think of ways to use them without adding a lot of sugar, and it really can be done. But they are really nutritionally a powerhouse, so that's good.
They're great, yeah. And that's something that's always a staple
Right.
on our table. I love that.
Yeah.
I did not use orange juice. I used fresh oranges.
Oh, even better. Even better because you'll get the fiber. Good
Exactly.
for you.
So, and then I add walnuts.
Oh,
Ooh.
my
But
gosh.
I
That's
do have
different.
to say I do add some sugar.
Oh,
to
you
that.
you have
You
to add a
can't.
little
Or
because
no
they're
one's gonna
too
eat
hard.
it.
Yeah, it's a little, and that's fine because a little bit of sugar will make it palatable when you eat it. It's just that typically in a cranberry sauce recipe. All right, let me do a quiz on you. In a cranberry
God.
sauce recipe,
I'm on
here
the
you go.
spot.
You're losing all the
She's
color
good.
in your face. In a cranberry sauce recipe that you would make, how much sugar do you think is added in a typical cranberry sauce recipe?
Well, I try to cut back, so my rule of thumb is half of whatever. When I do a recipe, I always half the sugar
Right.
because
What-
I don't like
what,
things
What
that
is a typical
sweet.
recipe call for that?
Oh, I guess like a cup.
Yes,
Yeah,
it can
which is
be
so much.
right.
It's a whole
It can
cup.
be from a cup to I saw recipes for 2 cups.
Oh,
Oh,
my
Yeah.
God.
So I mean, the point is granted some has to be added, but not that much. So start ratcheting it down with the amount, like you said, cut it.
Yeah.
Add the natural fruits, like you said,
Right.
chopped apples, chopped oranges,
We put
and
cinnamon in. The
right
spices.
there you
Yeah.
go. And this way you'll have a flavorful,
Yeah.
less sugary, more nutritional rich because more of the berries itself, and better for you.
So when we're talking about cranberry sauce, we're not talking about the canned
Right,
cranberry sauce.
right, right,
And I think that's really important for people to remember. We're talking
Yeah.
about making
Homemade.
it yourself,
right,
not what you're
Right,
going to buy in
right,
a can and
right.
put out and it's all jellied up.
right. Or what you can do though,
Okay.
because we have some cooks out there that say, "Oh, I don't want to make that," and that scares me to make it. I'll tell you what you do: take a can of the cranberries, the whole berries,
whole
the
berries.
whole
cranberry sauce.
Mhm.
And what you can do is take it, open up, so you got whole cranberry sauce. Chop up your apples, chop up your oranges,
Okay.
chop that up and put it in there. So now, if you have 2 cups of cranberry sauce out of the can, you add 2 cups of fresh fruit, mix it all up, you'll have less added sugar per serving because now instead of having 2 cups, you'll have 4 cups.
Oh, great.
One of
Okay.
our favorites is to mix it with pineapple. And do
Oh,
a
and that's
cranberry
another one.
pineapple
Yes,
crisp.
Mm.
And it is
right.
surprisingly, you
Right.
wouldn't think the two together would work, but
Right.
now I understand why,
Right.
because the sweetness of the pineapple
That's exactly
Oh.
right.
enhances the flavor of the cranberry.
Right, that's
great.
exactly
I need
correct.
that recipe.
That's good.
Yeah,
Sounds
it's
delicious.
it's just like you'd make an apple crisp, but instead of apples, you do pineapple and cranberry.
Oh,
It's
that sounds
great.
And
delicious.
It's really
there's
good.
something about that combination.
Right,
It's
right.
very tasty and
Right,
tart,
right.
but not too much.
Right, and if you use the whole wheat flour and you use oats, true oats, that's going to be a nice high fiber topping,
Yeah.
and that'll be good. You get some fiber in there too.
Yeah, I do almost all oats in mine because
Yeah,
I just
that's
like
great.
them.
Yeah,
but
that's good. That's good.
Andrea eats very well. She's a vegetarian, but
Okay.
besides
Yeah.
that, you really understand
well, I had to
food.
because when I was training for the marathon, I
Okay.
had to really understand how to fuel my body better
Right, right.
because you really start to feel everything you eat when you start running or working out at high intensity.
Mhm.
And I would eat something bad and I would feel it the rest of the day, and so it made me more conscious.
Right. Well,
of
you
what I was
really
eating.
you're training for a marathon. You got to
Right.
put good fuel in.
Oh yeah.
And good fuel after to recover
Yeah.
from it, because otherwise you're not going to be able
Yeah.
to do it. I
And-
mean, that's really important.
And it did force me to sit down and read more nutrition books and really think about understanding better differences between types of carbs, energy you're getting from fruits
Right.
and vegetables versus other
Right.
types of carbs, and knowing what the good balance was.
Mhm.
But then there's the whole extra science of knowing how to make it work as you're training for a marathon.
Absolutely,
But
sure.
the long-term benefit was that it just made me more thoughtful
Right.
about my food choices.
Right.
And it became a lifestyle change, which for
Right.
me, my rule of thumb is no radical diets.
Right.
It's something that fits in your lifestyle, and the changes you make maybe one at a time gradually.
Right.
I've always applied that rule, and I've always been able to stick with something. But, there's always those few things you're a little bad about.
Oh, yeah. Listen, I always say to my students in the class, 90% of your diet is healthy. Don't worry about the other 10%, because if you get a 90 at Boston University, don't you get an A? I mean, so right. I mean, like,
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, right?
Yeah.
So don't worry about it.
Oh, I think I'm on a B-. Because the holiday seasons are hard, and I love to cook,
Mm-hmm.
and I always like to cook things that everybody likes that
Yeah,
are traditional.
yeah, right.
And so I now am looking at all of my recipes and changing them. You know, as you know, I'm the Sergeant Choice Test Kitchen,
Right.
and I'm using a lot of those recipes. So
Right.
I've now added kale quinoa recipe.
Right.
And that combination is beautiful.
Right.
It's just making sure my family.
Right.
So that I'm adding, and I think that could be for our viewers too. Maybe you can't make that radical change,
Right.
but you can begin to add maybe some changes and introduce it to your family to help them sort of
Right,
see that
right.
it's better for them.
That's a good point, because whenever you do a radical change, like the whole, first of all, it's going to be overwhelming for the cook, and holidays are overwhelming to begin with. But just take one dish. Just take one dish each year, each holiday, and say, you know, I'm going to tweak it a little bit. And then before you know it, that becomes the traditional dish.
Yes.
And the next time you do the next one. And I'll tell you, the best thing you can do is during the holidays is to downsize the variety. So it gets, let's say, just by Thanksgiving, for example. I mean, how many pies? How many kinds of pies do you really have to serve for it to be a successful Thanksgiving? Do you need 5? You really? Right? No. Could you get by with 3? I mean, and if you just start doing variety, because I'll tell you, the research suggests that the more of the variety, the more you're going to eat.
Oh.
So
You want a
if-
little bit of everything.
Right.
Oh.
So if
Oh,
you
no,
have
but that's my
five,
favorite part.
right,
Not,
Yeah.
not 5 different potato dishes.
right. Right. So what they say happens if you have so much variety, what happens is you'll eat and you'll get bored with it, and then you keep eating, and you keep up until you get bored on this, and down the line. So if you can keep the variety of side dishes down, so first cut back on the amount, and then what you do with some of them, maybe critique the recipe a little bit to make it a little bit more healthy, but decreasing the amount is key.
That's great advice.
I'm going to tell you another one that is really easy.
Okay.
All right. I want everybody to go home,
Okay.
and I want you to measure the diameter of your dinner plate.
Oh, I've already
Ours
done
are
it.
huge.
No, mine are small. Mine are small because I have already gone through the whole Sergeant Choice program, and I reduced everything to this size.
That's right. So
I think ours are this big.
Right, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Mine are small.
And I've looked at this, and I've lectured on this, that I have seen plates that are 12 inches in diameter.
Wow.
And what I have said to,
Wow.
I've said this on the media, I've said this in my blog, is I want everybody to go up in your attic. Okay, go up in your attic and get Grandma's china. It's up there. It's all the way in the back in the attic. But go up there and get Grandma's china and bring down your grandmother's dinner plate from her china, and you put it side by side to the plate that you're eating now, and you'll gasp. And Grandma's dinner china is probably about 8 inches diameter, and I have seen 10, 12 inches diameter easy in dinner plates. And the problem with that is you are going to fill up the plate.
Yeah.
And I have done numbers on this, and you can take a 10 to 12 inch dinner plate that'll come in about 800 calories, depending upon the foods that are on it. And just taking the same foods and just going with a smaller plate, you can drop it to about 600.
Wow.
That is dramatic.
That's tremendous.
600, you go from 800 calories, big plate, same foods, smaller amounts, 600 calories. So now at the holidays, if you can get the smallest dinner plate to serve everyone, and you can use paper plates now, whatever it is,
Absolutely.
and you will help everybody by keeping the portions down.
And I have to say, I'm a good person for that because I switched all my I don't know if you ever noticed in the dorm, I switched all of my dishes to small white plates.
Right.
And it's made such a big difference,
Right.
not necessarily helping me lose weight, but it has helped with
Right,
how
right.
much people are
Right.
putting on the plate
Right,
and then
right,
eating.
right. And I'll tell you something. You could go to like the Christmas tree shop and
Oh,
get
absolutely.
a plate for $1. I mean, and so you don't have to oh gosh, I gotta throw away all my good plates. So the plates that you use on every day, just get a few good little small plates. And during the holidays, look for the paper plates that are smaller rather than the huge dinner plates.
That is such great advice. That's really helpful. I think people are going to find that very useful. Although I do have to say I do like this.
Yeah.
It is a little big, though, the way. I think we have enough time for you to talk about that snack program that you're doing
Right,
over
right.
in the dormitory.
Oh.
I love
Oh,
that.
snacks,
Oh,
those
this
are
is
so
great.
dangerous.
Oh, but these are healthy snacks.
Oh, good.
Okay,
That's what I
so
need.
you need to come to Claflin Hall.
Yeah.
Okay, so every Wednesday starting at 3:30. Okay,
Uh-huh.
okay. So today, all right, today you come over at 3:30.
She's going to be my open hours tonight.
Okay, there we go. 3:30, and we have something called Healthy Happy Hours. And what it is, the whole idea of this came about is obviously my nutrition background, and I'm a faculty in residence here with my good friend here, and I was thinking, gee, wouldn't it be interesting if we started now when the children I shouldn't say, ooh, adults in college, we started molding their snack habits. You know, what their foods that they choose for a snack. You know, and teach them what are healthy afternoon snacks. And this way, if we taught them now while they are freshmen, and they started, this became a habit throughout their years at Boston University, perhaps become a habit once they start working in the world. So what I do this semester, I have my lovely community nutrition students that help me feed all these people, to give them, every week is a different healthy snack. It could be popcorn. It could be, we did almonds last week. It could be Greek yogurt parfaits, which they loved, and have yogurt with some fresh frozen berries in it. So each week
You like
is
grapes.
grapes. We had grapes. And you know, it's interesting, this thing that you said about the grapes, because here at Boston University, they have this fabulous dining hall.
And they have tons of food.
Tons of food. But when these grapes, we were giving out these grapes, you would have thought that these students hadn't eaten for years. It was like, we couldn't figure it out, because you can get fruit, we get grapefruit in the dining hall.
I don't think we have fresh grapes.
Right.
It's bananas and
Bananas.
apples.
Right,
and,
so
and,
they
and
saw
oranges.
these grapes. It was like the biggest hit. Can you imagine something so simple?
I can,
yeah.
because you end up eating a lot of the same snacks.
Right,
I didn't
right.
go to Boston University, but I had a similar dining experience
Right.
in my school, and I was always eating the same granola bar, the
Right.
same yogurt, the
Yeah.
same banana. And so, you do miss that variety a lot.
Right. So we gave them, probably over the course of the semester, we're going to give them 12 snack ideas that were affordable. They can easily get. They can store it in the dorm rooms.
Yeah.
No prep and no cooking or anything like that, other than if you wanted to microwave popcorn. But really, just easy, affordable snacks. And we are going to be doing a survey that they asked of it at the end of it and see what the reaction was. But we did one last year, and it was very, very positive. I mean, they loved it. They loved the snacks.
And you've reached thousands of students. And what's been great about this is that you have your community nutrition students learning about this, so that you can do a pay it forward, that they can keep doing it once they're out.
Right. So what you want to teach them, this is a community nutrition intervention. The community is a community of college students,
Right.
and we want to teach them some healthy habits. How would you develop the program? How would you implement it? How would you evaluate it?
Yeah.
And so it's basically taking them out of the classroom and putting them in the field
Right.
and teaching them the hands-on. And it's interesting, because they'll say to me, so much prep work involved with this.
Oh.
Like you just can't show up and get. I'm like, hello. It's like this is exhausting. They say to me, my community nutrition student. I'm like, yes. You see, it looks easy, but the amount getting the food, obtaining the food, keeping the food safe, using food safety techniques, gloves to hand out food. I mean, it goes. Then cleanup. And they're like wiped out at the end of this. And I said, this is a lot of behind the scenes that goes into teaching the community, teaching people how to make better changes in life. This is just not, poof, and it shows up. This is a lot of work. So it is. It's really great.
Oh, it's great. And I two of your students are volunteering in my program, which has been great. And they're so energetic and so knowledgeable too, which is wonderful.
They love it.
So I think we're running out of time, but one of the things, I just want you to notice what's on my table.
I
And
can't.
that's-
Okay.
And I always have...
Let me just check. Are these phony?
No.
Okay, they're real. Okay,
And actually, I'll peel one for
Okay,
you.
whatever.
Here we go. So I always keep fruit on
Yes.
the table for students in particular.
Right.
I myself, too.
Right.
And I think, didn't Michelle Obama do that to
Yes.
President
Yes.
Obama? He has
Yes.
to have snacks.
Yes.
And now he has a bowl of fruit.
Yes.
And
He has a bowl of apple and oval
He
Austin.
does.
Yes.
I actually saw the bowl. I think maybe I saw it on TV.
Yeah.
I was very impressed with that.
Yeah.
So as we end, we'll all share this
Okay.
orange and this happy season together. I want to thank you so much for being on
Thank
the
you
show.
for inviting me.
And thank you for everything that you're doing,
Oh,
really worldwide, to help keep everybody healthy.
thank you.
Okay, here we
Thank
go.
you.
And thank you.
We'll see you later.
Here we go, everybody. Let's
All
share
right,
this.
let's go.